Hello.
We went and saw a movie today.
Little Women.
We are going to just give our general impressions of what we thought about the movie. Then we're going to go with the pros, what we liked very much about it. Then things that we may have done differently. Then we'll wrap things up with our final scores. Yeah, so let's get started. What were your general impressions of Little Women?
Going in, I'm not much for period drama, like at all. It's not even that I don't like them, it's that I've never cared to pursue them. Because I have seen stuff like Pride and Prejudice and other period films, and after I've seen them, I'm like, yeah, that was nice. But the act of going to see it or reading it, I've never given a crap about. Never seen any other Little Women, never read the books.
So this was your complete first experience with it?
Yeah, it was great. I had a wonderful time.
So I have read the book several times. I've seen a stage version of it, but I absolutely loved this movie. I had a great time watching it. What were the big things that stood out to you that really made you fall in love with this story?
Aesthetically, I knew this before I went in only because of a friend. I knew that the look was going to feel like classical paintings. Just the general layout, the color scheme, everything, and they really did. I went to college for painting, so that background is still ingrained in me pretty well, so I was really excited about that, and it felt very Cassatt and Renoir, and I just loved that about it. Putting a book into film is always interesting, and I think they did it so well. All the characters were just so real, human, and relatable, and enjoyable.
To your point as to why you had never seen this story before, where there's like a barrier for you when it comes to period pieces or historical drama, it can feel too alien, I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes the way they speak, because it's always, it's modern actors saying old language, and they aren't always able to sell it. They aren't always able to sell it like they're talking or having a conversation or living in the moment. The biggest thing for this movie that I loved was that these actors really were selling that they were using this old language, this old manner of speaking. From the actor's side and the direction side, they worked really well to make this feel not modern, but the interactions and the characters, they felt real and easy to connect with for a modern audience.
Yeah. I think they did that with the wardrobe too. The wardrobe was just a little bit, slightest tinge of like a modern feel. It worked.
It worked. Not enough to break the period.
Yeah. Dana, tell us. Okay, fine.
So if you're not familiar with the story of Little Women, it's essentially what it sounds like. It's following a group of sisters as they grow, just the period of their life when childhood's kind of ending, to the point where they become full adults and they start finding their feet. So it's a coming of age story, but it's multiplied because there are so many sisters involved. This telling of it was very grounded. It was very sensitive. It didn't have any objectionable content really, as the original tale does not, but they didn't inject any into it, so an easy thing you can take your whole family to. However, you might not want to. A lot of the film is emotionally challenging, and I don't know that smaller children would really understand or care too much. That being said, I found it very moving. It's a great story. If you're not familiar with Little Women, just know that it's still gonna feel relevant.
Yeah.
It's got a lot to say, I think, about not just back then, but today, confronting the notion of what a woman's place in society is, and challenging the idea that a woman who buys into societal expectations is in some way letting other women down. She might just be doing what she needs to do to survive. There are so many
layers to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because going in, it feels like you're supposed to be from the mindset of Joe, the character who's more focused on not partaking in these norms that are expected of her as a female. The first part of the movie is she's interacting with this man about a job. And because of that, I think I was immediately expecting to hate this man. I was just thinking he was going to be a complete jerk, not even just because he's a jerk, but also because the time, that's the norm. This man talks down to this woman, and that is how it works. He had layers. The
whole reason you bring this up is it's a good example of, both in the original story and of this adaptation of it, how it goes to great lengths not to paint any single character as being one thing.
Yeah.
You really get a feel by the end of the movie for complexities in even the side characters. That was really refreshing. The story is good. The acting all around I thought was pretty solid.
Such a great cast.
Yeah, it's a really good cast. Very emotional. It's a great time. It's a good watch. Because, I mean, we could just go on about how much we loved it all day.
Yeah.
Things we would have done differently. See, I don't know if this is necessarily something I would hold against the movie, but it does jump back and forth in time a lot. Initially, I was quite thrown off by it. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get into this. As the story flows and you get to know the characters, you do adapt the narrative flipping and flopping back through time, which isn't something I think that was in the book. I think it works pretty well. Yeah. I think it works overall with the movie. I think the way they went about it, they could have done it in a bit less of a confusing manner initially, but overall I can't really hold it against the movie because I did get used to it and it was effective at what it was trying to do.
It was almost too seamless. Confused you, especially at the beginning when you're like, what year is this? I don't know. They mention a year gap once. It's written at the bottom. And I never like that when there's text on the screen informing me of things, but at the same time, sometimes you need it. With this, it was like they did it to start you off, and then it kind of just disappeared. Yeah, they didn't look like they aged very much, but because all of these characters naturally look so young.
They do. I
don't know if Emma Watson's ever gonna look older than high school. Ever.
Any of these actors, really.
Florence Pugh looked 12. Success.
Yep. Like, I was like, whoa, wait, aren't you an adult?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess she can look 12.
Yeah. Ooh. And like the guy who played Laurie is just like a more petite statured guy too, that it's like you could forever play a high schooler if you wanted to.
So if they did any digital de-aging, it was very subtle.
Yeah, I don't know if they needed to.
I don't know if they had the budget for it. This was it looked like all the money went into the cast and the gorgeous sets and costumes.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, the going back and forth, I think, was probably the only issue I had with it. But at the same time, I don't know if I would have done anything differently because I don't know, maybe just make it a little bit more drastic. But I don't know if that would make it worse. Like, I have no idea because, like you said, like as the movie continued, you caught when the changes were happening.
And I will go to bat for it in that after watching the movie, the way it was all cut up feels a lot like the way that I, as a person, remember previous events that happened in my life. Mm-hmm. Like it's a bit out of sequence, it's a bit jumbled up, but the general emotional core of my memories is consistent. And that's kind of what I feel like they were going with. If it is, that's what they succeeded in. That confusion will dissipate upon repeated viewings. I definitely want to watch this again.
I want it.
Honestly, this is the kind of movie that if you're going to go to the theater, I highly recommend you support it because this is the stuff that should be getting money. Yeah, it's an adaptation of a work that's been done a million times, but at the same time, it's done with such love, such cultural relevance. It's a timeless story. Yeah, it's a great watch. It's a great movie. Loved it.
Agreed.
We have a rubric for scoring films. It is 1 through 5, 1 being unwatchable, 2 being not great, 3 being pretty good, 4 being awesome, and 5 being perfect.
4.8. Basically, for me, it felt almost perfect.
I'm gonna give it a 4.5, between awesome and perfect. But yeah, anyway, have you seen Little Women? What'd you think? This was the first written and directed by Greta Gerwig film I had seen.
Yes.
I'm keen to see more from her. Yeah, let us know what you thought in the comments down below if you want to.
Capital idea.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. If you liked what you saw, give us a like. If you didn't, don't.